Okay, so my adoption story, episode 6. I say this every time. Sorry. If you haven't watched the others, go back and start with episode 1 or none of this is going to make sense. And again, I'm doing this for my children, nobody else's benefit. If you find value, awesome. If I can help you, awesome. Message me, leave a message, whatever. If I can help guide you in any way, or just you can bounce an idea off of me about adoption, I'm game. But anyway, so we've walked through not knowing a thing, needing to find out some medical records, how I found my biological mother, how I tracked her down, my battles through the court, how I ended up with her phone number, how I had her sign a document releasing all of my information, which I received. Then her telling me who my biological father was and me doubting her. Not doubting her honesty, doubting her memory maybe. I felt like for other reasons we're going to get into. Let's just get into it. So I started at that time doing DNA tests. The first DNA test you do, or I did, was with Family Tree DNA. And we're going to log in there in just a minute. We're going to look at it. You're going to see my actual matches. And why I was so doubtful and frustrated is because I kept matching the surname Veazey, Veazey, Veazey. And that's a Y DNA match. I didn't even look at the autosomal DNA, the family relation DNA. I was looking for a surname. What's my last name? What's my biological father's last name? The Y DNA passes from father to son. Father to son. No other way. No mother's side, none of that. If a man only has daughters, it dies. That Y DNA with him. So I was matching all of these people named Veazey. And she was telling me, your dad's name is Robert Fry, to the point where we had a little hiccup in our relationship. And I think she was frustrated with me asking her so much about it. And it was selfish of me. I would ask her every time I talked to her because I cannot let a memory go. This is 2026. I started this in about 1994. Where you saw the dates on my previous documents. It's how long. So we got in a, not a disagreement. She was hurt, I think, because every time I call and ask her about anything, it was always about who's my father, when, and she's already said it 19 times. But I was matching DNA, Y DNA. I haven't done any ancestry yet. Let's go look at it. Okay. So this is where it sort of gets confusing. I think people think that I've maybe made leaps, right? Maybe I've jumped to a conclusion because I'm so vested. I want this to be. But if you'll notice, these are my matches. You'll see a bracket surname, a Veazey surname, a bracket, an Ivy, a Veazey, and you come on down the list, another Veazey, another bracket. Let me tell you what about these things. I kept matching, and this is 67 markers. I haven't taken a 111 marker test. They didn't have it at the time. But I started down here. You start at 12 markers. It's just not as definitive, and it's almost useless information. It can go back so long. But a 67 marker exact match with a Veazey and a bracket. So I call up Family Tree DNA and I say, What kind of information is this to me if I can't determine a surname? And they say that bracket is not a bracket, or that VZ is not a VZ. It could have happened 150 years ago that a male child born into the bracket family, was raised as a bracket and carried that surname. But that blood, that Y DNA is VZ. Or it could have been vice versa, right? I didn't know. I just knew that I was matching because I asked my birth mother, my biological mother, do you know a bracket? Do you know a VZ? Could Robert Fry really be VZ, Fry, VZ? And then I thought, Ivy, Fry. How this guy, but here, VZ. And they're fairly close, they're close matches. And I still, at this time, didn't have a clue how VZ came about. I just knew there was not one single name on here called Fry. F-R-Y, F-R-E-Y, nothing. Not one Y DNA match came back to a Fry. So that's why we get frustrated and think maybe Patty just didn't know. Maybe my biological mother didn't know. Maybe it was a result of a one-night stand kind of thing. Who knows? Maybe she was embarrassed about that. I don't know why she would be, because we've all been there. This was the 60s, And, but I kept matching all these other surnames, and the common one kept coming up, VZ. But I never really could put it together until I dug into ancestry and the autosomal. Now, I'm no DNA expert, but the autosomal, which tells you your family relationship, right? Once I got that involved, and the next step after that, things started to come together. So let's go to that next. Thank you for watching.